Forces Remembrance Day?
So I think the book coming out at this time by Chief Ayo Okpadoku is very apt because we have not really learned a lot of lessons from what happened around 66. You know, if you talk to some people, they'll break Nigeria's history into two areas, before the war and after the war. That's what they'll always tell you. And I still see a lot of those centripetal forces that was around that time still in existence today, and that's where the problem lies. So if you look at the political class then, if Chief Ayo Okpadoku says, yes, let's blame the military, but what about the political class then? You forget that it was around that time we had what we call the Wetie. Wetie pretty much means put petrol on people's homes. You get, and they burnt the homes because they were political adversaries. That was when you had the big fight between Awolowo and Akintola, and the western region was called the Wild Wild West. When Akintola went to demo, Bori mi, demo ni mo wa. I mean, those were the political narratives then. And that fight raged on for a very long while. Pretty much replica of what you're seeing today in Rivers State. And you had that. And the boys and the military guys in the back were looking and saying, very young and idealistic, were looking and saying, how are we going to leave the country in the hands of these politicians? And then you had back and forth everywhere. Leading up to the elections, 65, that was a total chaos. Rigging at the highest order. Anyway, the 59 elections, I think that was done on the 12th of December 1959, the British had already imposed who they wanted there. They knew it was going to be a hung parliament, but they had done a lot of gerrymandering, so anybody that emerged between the NCSC would definitely form a government with the MPC. So we had all of that. Then leading up to this, then we had the Wild Wild West, then we had the elections, and this was what led the guys like Ifejuna. I mean, look at the guys like Ifejuna. Had done so well for Nigeria, participated in athletic championship and the likes. Commonwealth Games, done very well. Ademoyega and the likes. But they also made a mistake because the mistake was the coup, thinking that, oh, in their idealistic mind, that was the solution to the problem. It was not violence. And when they plotted and they had the coup, for further reading, you can read why it was struck. When they had the coup, they forgot that the centripetal political forces that were there on ground, the politicians were going to use it against them. And that was what the politicians did. Oh, you killed somebody from this region. You let somebody leave from this region. You didn't prosecute those. I'm sure if the likes of them, Kaduna and Zegu, understood the importance of some of his actions then, and as his name implies, Kaduna was from Okpanam. He had not even stayed in Okpanam any part of his life. He stayed in North. But if he understood the implications of leading the battalion to go killing the Saldana, I'm sure he would not have done it because the political forces were still there. And that was what led to the breakback. So you had a bunch of very corrupt politicians like we have today. And you had a bunch of very idealistic military guys. And both of those scenarios don't mix. That was the problem. Until today, we are still suffering it. And that's why when people talk about coup, it's never the solution. The solution is calling to accountability this bunch of very corrupt politicians. Then if you hear the words of Kaduna Zego, he was talking about the 10%ers. Today, they don't collect 10% on contracts again. They collect over 50, 60 people. They don't even get the contract done. But the guys then did not know that all of this was just going to play into their hands. And guess what? They politicized it. And when, the likes of Ayo Okpadoku keep talking about military, Chief Ayo Okpadoku, the one point, I've not read the book, but I hope you should make it in that book is, the role the politicians still play in all military regimes. Do you think the decision-making process by the military was totally the military? Do you know the role the politicians play? Read Babangida's memoirs and see the role politicians play, how he revealed most of them. They were the ones that were going forward and backward. They were the ones that were pacifying Abiola at the back during June 12. They were the ones that was going to say Babangida no gree. So when you look at the bulk of the problem, it's still our politicians. But the question is, I hope we learn lessons 60 years after. And those are the conversations we need to have. So I think for further reading to this conversation, I would say let's read some books. Philip Effiong wrote a book, I think something about the cage bird experience. Elechi Amadi wrote a book about sunset in Biafra. From you can read some Masolion and the likes, you can read some Frederick Forsyth, but I think very, very slanted. But for me, when it comes to things about 60s, one of the most balanced accounts is still John Sendejore's book, that talks about the Civil War. So it's very balanced. There are many accounts here and there. You can Forsyth and the like, but that's a very balanced account. And I hope we do learn from this, because our life is still around what happened in the Civil War.
Okay. Let me start with Mr. Ayo Okpadokun's book, which is titled The Gun Hegemony. Mr. Ayo Okpadokun is a lawyer, he's a pro-democracy activist, one of the leaders of NADECO. And I consider his book, The Gun Hegemony, a major contribution to the literature. It's not even emerging literature, it's an emergent literature on what happened January 15, 1966. I spoke about the significance of January 15 in Nigerian history yesterday, where I linked it to the coup of January 15, 1966, the counter-coup of July 28, 1966, and the subsequent civil war, when things became no longer at ease, as Chinua Achebe pointed out. And then, of course, the act of surrender on January 15, 1970. We have had many books already on this particular incident of January 15, 1966, which is to show how it was a life-changing, transformative, catalytic event in the history of Nigeria, marking the first time the military intervened in political governance in Nigeria. And so you have had some of the persons involved in the coup while we struck by Adewale Ademoyega. Bengbuli has also written his own book. Alexander Madiebo has also written a book on the subject. So many others have written. Even before now, I think General Chris Ali wrote a book trying to assess the role of the military in Nigerian politics, titled The Federal Republic of the Nigerian Armed Forces. All these, are relevant books on this specific event. And now you have this book by Mr. Okpadokun. Now, the reviewer was Professor Sylvester Odion Akaine. I've gone through his review. He says the book contains 15 chapters. And what the book does, essentially, as Professor Akaine has pointed out in his review, is to talk about Nigeria before the military intervened, what led to the military intervention, and then, of course, how the military played a role in Nigerian politics thereafter. Well, many people have divided opinions about what the military did. There are some people who said, the military rule derailed Nigeria. But there are some people who have also been sympathetic to military intervention in Nigeria. Don't forget that within the 70s to the early 80s, there was this thing in political science in Africa about the strongman, orientation, strongman politics. That for Africa to develop, you need strong men. But of course, by the 90s, that was already beginning to change. So it's also important, theoretically, that you put it in context. But the major focus of the book by Chief Mr. Ayo Okpadokun is about the impact of military rule and even impact on the media. Because in chapter 12 of that book, as Professor Akaine pointed out, there's a review of the role of even the media in the whole of that process. Well, I know the media gets blamed for everything, but we have been here in the Nigerian context since 1859, and we continue to play our role as a crusading, courageous fourth estate of the realm. However, I think what is important is the manner in which Mr. Ayo Okpadokun has, reinvented the conversation about the role of the military. And on that occasion, two of the prominent Nigerians who were there, the Ichie Adazie of Ubosi, former Commonwealth Secretary General, Chief Emeka Anyauku, and the doyen of the Nigerian media, Mr. Sam Amuka Kwemo, Uncle Sam, they raised issues about federalism and democracy. Very important subjects, unending subjects in the Nigerian, conversation. And the issue is, okay, the military left to even interrogate the problem. How have the civilians, the Democrats, who have been in charge since 1999, how have they fared? I think that should also be part of the conversation. Are we better now under civilian rule than we were under the military? Is the military still a factor? Because when you raise key questions, they will say, oh, there are some rulers of Nigeria. When you look at the list of the rulers of Nigeria, there are still military leaders who will assert that they have transformed from khaki to civilian garb. So all these are related questions. But that moment in Nigerian history was, a major turning point for Nigeria. That is that about that. You talked about Abba Abubakar, the son of Waziri Adamawa Atiku Abubakar, joining the APC, moving from the PDP to the APC, having been inspired, he himself says, by Senator Barau Jibrin, the Senate Deputy President. Well, this is not the first time this will happen. Father and son belonging to different political parties. In the federal elections of March 1957, we had Alvan Ikuku. Alvan Ikuku was a major educationist. It's his face you will see on the 10 naira note. He belonged to a party different from that of his son. He was in the United National Independence Party, UNIP. He wanted a position in the Eastern House Regional Assembly. His son, Samuel Gumsu Ikoku, was a member of the Action Group. Father and son went to contest for the same position, which is not the case right now. But the son defeated the father and later became the leader of the opposition in Eastern Region House of Assembly. And I think this is what Atiku Abubakar, Waziri Adamawa, was referring to when he said, well, he doesn't dictate to his children and that it is his personal choice. He has the right as a citizen of the Federal Republic to belong to a political party of his choice. That he, as Atiku Abubakar, is just worried about the poverty in the land and how to give Nigerians good governance, and that is not forcing Nigerians even in that regard. I think, those were very instructive points that he made. You still see father and son, husband and wife belonging to different political parties. In a democracy, that I think is allowed. In fact, Abba Abubakar went for that by changing the name of his political platform, Aske Atiku Organization, to Aske Bola Tinubu Organization. I'm sure that President Tinubu and members of APC would gladly welcome him. Now, there was another issue. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu sending a message from Dubai, the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, which is attending, to say, oh, his government is committed to the welfare and that, of those who sacrifice their lives so that Nigeria could continue to survive and all of us can continue to feel safe, and that the welfare of their widows, the orphans, of fallen heroes will be taken seriously. Well, good messaging, sounds very nice. And then commendation for the troops by all the persons who spoke, governors, opposition, and all that. Now, with welfare, the major takeaway from President Tinubu's point, when we were discussing yesterday the issue about whether Armed Forces Remembrance Day should be a national holiday, I said, no, we have too many holidays in this country. But the point about welfare which President Tinubu stressed, is very important. What it means is that the soldiers who are still alive, who are on the war front, whether in Sambisa or anywhere else fighting terrorists, must be well taken care of. Heroes that are falling, their families should be properly treated. Those who are retired, they must get their allowances on a regular basis. That is when we will know that the president means very well when he says this is what we're going to do. Finally, the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, says, well, budget performance is very good, 2024 performance, fiscal, financial obligations being met and all of that. Very encouraging. But the point that I see here is about IMF. The IMF chief, resident representative in Nigeria, was saying that for this to be sustained, the Nigerian government must continue with its reforms, which, it's a part of reform and all of that. However, this thing about inflation, which they say is now 15.15% as of December, is based on some kind of, creativity. They say rebasing. Methodology has been changed. Now the IMF resident rep is saying, well, this rebasing, this new methodology will translate into concrete benefits in terms of the cost of living for Nigerians. Well, inflation has been going down according to the Bureau of Statistics consecutively. We have not yet seen the effect, the evidence in terms of the cost of living. The economists, those who know these subjects, they say, okay, it takes time. It's taking too long a time. When we begin to see the effect and food inflation comes down, that's when we will believe that this CPI is having an effect. And that's why I think the Manufacturers Association are also very concerned.
Right. One quick point. I just wanted to make a reference because when I talked about the British gerrymandering in the 59 elections, for further reading on that, you can read the Harold Smith story. Harold Smith was a British, civil servant in Nigeria, and he talked about how the British gerrymandered the elections.
He was talking about British conspiracy.
Conspiracy.
And it was, an officer who was involved in the Nigerian process at that time. Yeah. And when the book came out, it was very embarrassing, to the British scholars that, in fact, the British were responsible for the way the hegemony, the gun hegemony that Ayo Okpadokun talks about, in Nigerian history.
And I'm glad you made this point because I think that's the angle that I'd want us to bring in just very briefly on issues around gun hegemony is that I think there's a debate that needs to be had about whether this hegemony belongs to the military era or to the colonial era. Because I know there's scholars like J.F. Ade Ajayi of the Ibadan School of Thought who feel that colonialism, School of History, who say that colonialism was just an episode and not a definitive era in Nigeria's history. So there's a lot to unpack because, of course, the other school of thought is saying, well, the military era was the definitive period. And the argument in this is that both eras represented a raw form of power and made raw power political currency, and which has evolved into what we see around Machiavellian politics today. So I think each era of history has some takeaways that need to be studied in order for us to be able to reform where we are today. But I quickly move on to touch on Armed Forces Remembrance Day, and the president's message from Abu Dhabi, which I just want to highlight that his absence was felt. His absence was felt because last year we lost Brigadier General Musa Uba. In 2021, we lost Brigadier General Jama Zekusu. Now, I make reference to these, even though between 2019 and 2025, we've lost over 450 soldiers to military operations against insurgency and terrorism in Nigeria. But these are high-ranking officials. And when you have high-ranking soldiers being lost on the battlefield to the current fight against insecurity and insurgency, the presence of the commander-in-chief goes a long way in pushing a reassuring message around the fact that he does stand not just with the armed forces itself, but with the families of the departed. Because the wife of Brigadier General Musa Uba continues to say that she's still waiting for a real explanation as to what really could have transpired with the issue of the ambush against her that killed her husband, that was manifest through him trying to appeal over WhatsApp to his task force in Borno State for assistance. So just a quick word on that, which is that I think it was important that during the current intensified fight that we're engaged in, the commander-in-chief should have been present. Now, let's quickly move on to the defection of Abba Abubakar from the PDP to the APC. Well, I think at the moment, the biggest question is, what is the electoral value of it? The optics are great. The headlines are great. APC have had an opportunity to issue some press releases and, use this to gain a bit of political mileage and some talking points against the potential contender for the presidential ticket for the ADC, being Atiku Abubakar. But when you look at what happened in the Northeast in 2023, Atiku Abubakar won that election, but just by about 600,000 votes. So that is quite a slim margin, in my opinion, given the fact that that is supposed to have been his stronghold, if I put it that way. He got over 1.7 million votes, whereas Bola Tinubu got about 1.1 million votes, representing 50% of the vote and 34% of the vote, respectively. Now, does this young man represent any electoral value to be able to push those numbers? Highly unlikely. But I think it also signals a direction in engaging further and engaging more deeply with the Northeast and making inroads to seeing how those numbers can be moved forward, especially if we're going to see an Atiku Abubakar or an Atiku Abubakar backed ticket for the ADC. So those are some of the permutations that we're seeing movement in that region. Very quickly to the economy. So we're saying 85% budget performance for 2024. We're saying 15.15% inflation for December 2025. What is behind the headline? What is behind the headline is that this budget performance that we're attributing to 2024 is a budget performance that has been stretched. So if I give you money and I tell you to perform in a certain period of time and you're unable to do it, and I extend that period of time for you to be able to do it, surely your performance rate is going to increase. Now, if you look at the inflation number has been changed. As opposed to us basing on the month of December 2024, which analysts had said would have resulted in about a 30% interest rate. We have now inflation rate. We've now said, no. Let's harmonize. Let's create a 12-month period as our reference point, which can give us a more tempered inflation rate. So what are we doing here? What we're doing is we're creating statistics that are palatable, that are sellable, that are good for PR and marketing. But my concern is that, yes, the PR, the messaging, the signaling is important. My concern is behind the scenes as we are planning our budgets and we are having these meetings. I hope we're looking at the real raw numbers, not the ones that are palatable. Yes, several countries do use the 12-month reference versus the 1-month reference. But the difference is that the 1-month reference will give you a better snapshot of shocks to prices, whereas the 12 months gives you a more tempered, a more palatable, a more, friendly inflation rate. I close by saying with 85% budget performance, 1.8 trillion naira has been allocated in the 2026 budget to pay outstanding debts to contractors from that same 2024 budget cycle. So 85% may be a nice figure for us to engage with the IMF. But the reality is that 1.8 trillion naira for 2026 is still going to contractors to finish up 2024. On that note, it's now time for a short break on the morning show. When we return, we'll have Adefemi Akinsonya join us for the World Brief and to review top stories in today's newspapers. Do stay with us.
Solar energy has improved the lives of Nigerians in the sense that we can have a cleaner environment and thereby preserving the earth for future generations. Our mission is to ensure we develop and deliver locally acceptable, contemporary, and innovative solutions in partnership with global organizations to ensure that we become the first and the trusted choice for Nigerians. So the option of having a solar solution at just 30% equity already ensures that you have money back in your pocket, because then you can then pay on a monthly basis over a period of time, which, if you compare with the fact that you're also paying grid, is actually more affordable over a period of time. Then you can have your access to power under your control at every point in time for up to 10 years. Solar energy.
Mama the mama.
My smally.
Gen Z mama we carry better swag.
You dey wine. E be like say plenty credit don overload for that your side.
Credit na water. You sef know now.
Glow Talk Master. My little lioness.
Wey dey retire senior lions.
I dey make one better dress where you go wear for these holidays.
When I land them, I go finish you with plenty kisses.
Who you dey kiss dey finish on my credit, eh?
Who be this? Mr. Man.
Mama.
Why they disturb us now?
You almost give me heart attack, oh.
Be like say you never hear about Glow Talk Master.
We get free data. Let's video call her.
Ah.
Free on Glow Talk Master. Talk for 6 minutes and get 6 minutes free. Plus 15 megabytes of data free. Simply dial *606#. 2,000 naira for new customers. 1,000 naira for voice. 1,000 naira for data.
My baba dey always say, for market, every day get your own wahala. Sometimes people go wan scam you, but baba say no be by gra, you must cool down, dey sharp, because with OPay payment, your money go enter sharp, no story. But inside market, anything fit happen. One day, we no see phone again. My baba remember OPay USSD lock, dial *955*131#. Baba press am, lock account. From market woman to driver, from small boy to big man. Now OPay dey protect people like us. My papa fit sell, press phone, collect POS, and still dey teach me price. And when day don tire am, go just tap OPay night guard. We no fear for this our hustle life. Now OPay be the people payment shield.
Feel free to imagine a world with no boundaries. Just you and your dreams, running wild and free. Oh no, life can be easy. Smooth connection with the correct. Smooth connection with the correct.
Every business creates data. Sales, payments, movements. Sparkle turns activity into information you can understand. And insights you can act on. Sparkle doesn't just show you what happened, it helps you decide what to do next.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now for Word Brief and the review of some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Adefemi Akinsanya, the lady in blue on Friday.
That's me on Friday.
Good
Yes.
morning.
Take away. Oh, my man.
That's me. You know
Felicita.
you know my daddy's in town, so he might not like you singing for my mommy like that, but you never know.
Are you serious? Baba, Omo Baba.
No, please. Keep it the original way.
Mama Sita.
Not even. I just saw blue Friday. You know what I mean? Hope you're all doing well.
You need to put Zegile. I would have
Oh
been
my
singing
goodness.
Onigele, Skentele,
Really?
Ejoma,
Skontolo, I've told you. Good morning to you viewers. Let me tell you what's happening. Okay, exactly.
Which version?
You can't do
please.
it.
The fashion people out there will question you.
Can't do it.
Fashion sex.
Good morning to you
Are
viewers.
you
Let me
understanding
tell
the
you
style?
what is exactly. Let me tell you what's happening around the world. Now, he wanted it, and now he's got it. Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado told reporters she presented the medal for her Nobel Peace Prize to President Donald Trump at a private White House meeting on Thursday. But she didn't say at that point whether or not he had accepted it. Let's take a listen.
I presented the President of the United States the medal, the Nobel Peace Prize, and I told him this. Listen to this. 200 years ago, General Lafayette gave Simón Bolívar a medal with George Washington face on it. Bolívar since then kept that medal for the rest of his life. Actually, when you see his portraits, you can see the medal there. And it was given by General Lafayette as a sign of the brotherhood between the United States, people of the United States and the people of Venezuela in their fight for freedom against tyranny. And 200 years in history, the people of Bolivar are giving back to the heir of Washington a medal, in this case a medal of the Nobel Peace Prize, as a recognition for his unique commitment with our freedom.
Well, beneath the surface, it does appear that Machado needs Trump, especially if she wants to return to Venezuela as president. And what's one thing that she has that Trump obviously wants? Well, she's got the Nobel Peace Prize. But can she actually make Trump an official Peace Prize recipient? Well, on the 9th of January, the Nobel Prize Committee said this. Essentially, if we take a look at their statement, they said that where is our statement, our Nobel statement? Wonderful, here we are. They say that once a Nobel Prize is announced, the decision is final. After this point, it cannot be revoked, shared, or transferred. Just to be clear, that even though she's given him this gift, it can't be transferred. Now, despite her generous gesture and Trump's apparent happiness shown in a post on Truth Social, where he thanked her for the sign of mutual respect, Trump, there we go, that's him thanking her, Trump still has to decline at this point to really endorse Machado, whose movement claimed victory in the 2024 widely contested elections back in Venezuela as its new leader. What he is instead still doing is backing the acting head of state there, who is Delcy Rodriguez. Now, she is Maduro's former vice president, who is now the current president, interim president, and she is reported to be a close ally of the likes of Vladimir Putin in Russia. It is at this point been nearly 2 weeks since the United States launched a military attack on Venezuela and captured incumbent Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife Celia Flores, who both remain in a detention center over in New York. Meanwhile, troops from France, Germany, Sweden, Norway, Finland, the Netherlands, and the United Kingdom have arrived in Greenland. That's as US President Donald Trump continues to openly describe his ambitions to take control of the semi-autonomous part of Denmark. Now, if we look at these images, we do see these troops arriving. These are the French troops arriving. And our French President Emmanuel Macron said the initial contingent, which consisted of just 15 people, would be reinforced soon with land, air, and sea assets arriving soon also. Now, this is a sign that NATO allies are committed to Greenland security. However, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk says that Poland was not planning to join the European military deployment to Greenland, but warned that any US military intervention there would be a political disaster. Now, earlier this week, Denmark and Greenland's foreign ministers traveled to Washington for a meeting with US Vice President J.D. Vance. That happened on Wednesday, and it didn't end well. All parties essentially continued their disagreement over how to proceed, but you did have Denmark and Greenland's representatives criticizing Trump's ambition to buy Greenland. For its own part, the White House says that its move will do little to deter Trump, meaning whatever Denmark and Greenland are talking about is doing very little to deter Trump from his ambitions. And lastly, moving on to the African continent, polls have closed in Uganda following the presidential and legislative elections amid allegations of electoral fraud, misinformation, and incitement of violence. Now, the election was plagued by widespread delays, in addition to days-long internet shutdown that has been criticized as an anti-democratic tactic in a country where the president has held office since 1986. Some polling stations remain closed for up to 4 hours after the scheduled 7 a.m. start time, and that was due to so-called technical challenges. That was according to the country's electoral commission, which asked polling officers to use paper registration records to ensure that the difficulties did not disenfranchise any voter. Results are due within the next 48 hours, but you might not get any prizes for guessing who wins. Nevertheless, let's take a look at our newspaper headlines. As ever, we begin with the front page of This Day, and this day reports that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has reaffirmed his commitment to supporting the Nigerian Armed Forces during the 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Day, pledging that the nation will continue to honor soldiers who paid the ultimate price. This day also reports that the son of the former vice president, Abubakar Atiku Abubakar, he has defected to the APC, vowing to mobilize for President Tinubu's re-election come 2027. Now, the Daily Independent, however, still on the topic of Armed Forces Day, reports that although absent from the Abuja ceremony, President Tinubu personally penned a message praising fallen heroes for sustaining the nation's freedom and peace. The Vice President, Kashim Shettima, did represent Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our president, at Eagle Square, laying wreaths on his behalf, while top officials, including the Senate President, you can see him laying that wreath there, including the Senate President, and of course, the Minister of Defense were physically present. Let's move on to the Vanguard. The Vanguard reports that prominent Nigerians, it's this story across here, the gun hegemony. Prominent Nigerians, including Emeka Anyaoku, Sam Omuka, Ayo Okpadokun, have blamed decades of military intervention for Nigeria's stalled growth and called for an urgent return to a truly federal, pluralistic constitution. That's as political leaders led by President Tinubu, represented by his chief of staff, Femi Gbajabiamila, and the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, paid tribute to the launch of Okpadokun's book, The Gun Hegemony. Let's take a look at the Daily Sun. Lovely. Okay, so the Daily Sun this morning does report that the Nigeria Revenue Service has clarified that the new Nigeria Tax Act does not impose VAT on banking transactions themselves, only on service fees such as transfers, USSD charges, card issuances, and account maintenance.
Very good.
Thank you. Jake, I feel like they put that out for us. I'm moving on to the New Telegraph. The New Telegraph reports, again, just across the top here, the New Telegraph reports that Nigeria has been removed from the European Union's list of high-risk jurisdictions for money laundering and terrorism financing. This follows the exit from the FATF grey list 3 months ago. You remember we reported that. Now, that move is expected to ease cross-border transactions, lower compliance costs, and boost investor confidence with enhanced due diligence requirements set to be lifted from the 29th of January 2026. Let's take a look at The Guardian. Now, The Guardian this morning, as always, has very interesting stories, really interesting write-ups. But they report that foreign airlines from Nigeria are experiencing a drop in passenger traffic. This comes after US visa restrictions, with students, professionals, and diaspora travelers delaying trips due to denied or delayed visas. And the Middle East are also seeing lower load factors, essentially, as travelers postpone or cancel trips amid these visa further uncertainty. So it is having a knock-on effect, what happens in America. Let's take a look at The Punch. Meanwhile, The Punch does report that the US has approved $413 million for counterinsurgency operations here in Nigeria and other African countries in 2026. This is happening under the National Defense Authorization Act. Let's take a look at some African papers now. This is the Daily Nation of Kenya. We're talking so much about the effect of Trump's sanctions on other countries around the world, including Nigeria, but the Daily Nation of Kenya leads with why Kenya has escaped these types of sanctions, such as, of course, that visa freeze under Donald Trump's return. Now, the paper article says that Kenya's strategic importance to the United States on immigration, trade, security alliances, and aid has kept Nairobi shielded from hostile policies imposed on other countries. Shall we move on to UK? Well, the Daily Express has Tory leader Kemi Badenoch saying that bad people are leaving her party. That's after she sacked Robert Jenrick ahead of his defection from the Conservative Party to Reform UK. You got Jenrick there next to a good old Nigel Farage. And then finally, in a spoof of what's happened, in the same note, The Sun draws parallels between The Traitors, the television show, and the ousted Shadow Justice Secretary's move to Nigel Farage's party. Those are your newspaper headlines and your brief. Love to hear your thoughts.
Real quickly, and I'll tell a story this morning. For Machado to go to Trump and try to invoke the name of Bolivar is a big disgrace. Bolivar, Simeon, was a general that fought for his people and liberation of his people. He didn't kowtow to dictators. He fought dictators. He fought the hegemony of Spain out of South America. And it's a recognition of that. Another great general that fought colonialism and the hegemony of dictators, General Lafayette, that played a formidable role in fighting the hegemony of Great Britain against America, also gave him that commemorative plaque. Or medal. So for you to invoke the name of Simeon Bolivar when you are trying to kowtow to somebody with a dictatorial tendency, somebody that invaded your country, is the height of hypocrisy. And this is the story. You see, Femi, when you are a person of honor, honor will come to you. Awards is not a recognition of your honor. In 1964, where Jean-Paul Sartre was given a Nobel Prize, he rejected it because he felt that writers should not be institutionalized. Jean-Paul Sartre had honor. In fact, the prize had been given before his letter got there to reject the honor. But to show the kind of honor Jean-Paul Sartre had, in 1968, when this was on, wheat riots were happening in France and the students were protesting, guess what happened? A police officer arrested Jean-Paul Sartre because he was protesting on the streets. The president of France, Charles de Gaulle, called the police officer and asked him, "Do you arrest Voltaire?" That means Jean-Paul Sartre had become an institution in the hearts of people. So this honor Trump is looking for, if he does good deeds, he will live in the hearts of people.
Agreed.
Not scampering to get a prize that Alfred Nobel himself instituted to be able to correct history. Because the origin was the fact that when his brother Ludwig died, they thought it was Alfred Nobel that died. And they ran a story called The Merchant of Death is Dead. And Alfred Nobel thought that if I had died, so this was how they would have remembered me, because Alfred Nobel was actually the man that invented dynamite that was used in killing people.
Several stories this morning. Where do I begin? Let's begin in East Africa. Kenya, at the front page of, Daily Nation, talking about how Kenya has been able to escape, U.S., can I call it punishment, amid all that's going on. And when you look at the deeper side of it, as much as, we might try to look at policies and all of that, the truth of the matter is that, number one, William Ruto went to meet Donald Trump and agreed to that health deal that is already being challenged in Kenyan courts. This health deal that gives the United States access to Kenyan private health data, in essence, for the purposes of research or whatever it is. And Kenyans are already pushing back because they deem it to be unconstitutional and an infringement on their privacy. The other thing that William Ruto has done is that he had actually actually concluded a 98% zero duty trade deal with China, meaning 98% of goods from the Kenyan market going to China would now attract zero duty. United States told them to pause that deal, and they've paused that deal. So you can see that this is what happens when when you play to the tune of the piper, is that you get a nice little pat on the back as a good boy. Now, to quickly segue to, there's no time, but to quickly segue to Uganda, where we saw the mass failure of what they call their version of the BVAS, which is a BVK. Only 5% of those deployed worked yesterday. And the president, Museveni, even came out to say that his own didn't work. He had to vote by facial recognition. And he says that he thinks that the opposition infiltrated the system to make sure that it wouldn't work. Quite, shall I call it irony?
The Uganda process, we said yesterday that the outcome is predictable. Museveni wants to remain in power. And the electoral process yesterday more or less confirmed it. They have had to apologize for technical glitches. Voting materials arrived very late. The biometric machine did not work in many parts. Voting did not start early. Voting did not end at the appointed time. The results will be announced 1300 hours GMT tomorrow, Saturday, 1600 hours local time in Uganda. But of course, you can be sure that the National Resistance Movement will win. Again, questions about democracy in Africa, free and fair and credible electoral process. Now, as for Machado, what is the main story? Machado is anti-Chavez. She's anti-Maduro. She wanted to be part of the 2024 elections in Venezuela. She was disqualified. And that was how Edmundo Gonzalez took part in that process. She was not necessarily Trump's candidate, but Trump and the Americans said the results should be released. Up to now, nobody knows who won. Now, Maduro was removed January 4. And since then, the issue has been, what's the way forward for Venezuela? Now, of course, naturally, Machado, the opposition leader, is interested in the position. Delcy Rodriguez, who is the former vice president, who had initially criticized Trump, is now said by Trump to be very cooperative. Now, this bottom line is one, the ambition of Rodriguez to remain in power, and also Machado, who wants to be the opposition leader that will manage the transition. And that was why last week she said she was going to give a Nobel Prize to Trump. The Nobel community said it cannot be revoked once it is issued, it cannot be transferred, it cannot be conferred on another person. Maybe the medal can be transferred, but not the prize itself. But of course, the story is that Trump says, Rodriguez is behaving well and he would rather stay on her side. But he even spoke with Rodriguez on Wednesday, and she is sending an emissary to reopen Venezuela embassy, and there's also a plan for her to visit. As for NATO, there was a meeting Wednesday in the US between the foreign ministers of Denmark and Greenland. Now, there was no agreement. There were fundamental disagreements. Now, these European countries are trying to jump the gun and say that, look, Article 5 of the NATO treaty says an attack against one is an attack on one. It's symbolic, it's historic, but they want to say they are present, even if the troops are small. However, Trump says he's the only one, it's only America that can protect Greenland, not Russia or China, who are deepening their presence in the Arctic. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm here with the woman that makes all the things happen in Fidelity Bank, the MD of Fidelity Bank.
FNITTC was conceptualized in 2022, and the whole idea was to create a platform where our exporters lead with the global community are able to showcase their products. What we do in the banking industry is to always try to meet the needs of our customers, and we could see that the exporters were struggling with, they didn't have a global stage on which to showcase their goods. We did so much initially in terms of capacity building. After that, the products were made, were put in proper quality, packaging and all of that. So the next step naturally is to take it to the global stage, especially if you focus on making world-class products. Like they say, build it and they will get. Don't worry about it. Build it and they will come. All right, man.
We are Fidelity. We keep our word.
Good morning. Today's weather will be sunny with a high of 31 degrees.
Alexa, music, please.
Playing workout music.
Striving for mastery? You need speed, precision, and clarity of purpose. They all add up. Talent is not enough. You've got to prove that you're able to take advantage of unlimited opportunities when they come. And to do that, you need plenty of data. Scratch that. You need unlimited data. And there's no better provider of unlimited data
Access granted
than your all-powerful Glow router.
Whether home or office, enjoy unlimited data on a Glow router. Dial *312#.
You know, I've got unlimited eyes.
Glow Unlimited.
I'm still watching.
In most parts of the world, girl child are not recognized in the family. I hope all this problem holding down a girl child did not hold me down.
The idea behind the project is to identify schools that we think the parents are not economically empowered to sponsor their children to schools.
In demonstration of our commitment to reducing that number, we've come here today to provide some of the essentials that we believe would help the children in school. We worked with different schools in 5 states across the country, and we reached out to 15,000 children.
I want to be a food scientist, and Polaris Bank is helping me realize this dream. I'm perfectly excited.
When President Bola Ahmed Tinubu campaigned in 2023, he promised to build a better Nigeria. Today, savings from fuel subsidy removal has enabled state governments to pay salaries, develop infrastructure, and implement social welfare projects. In education, 864,798 students across 263 tertiary institutions have benefited from the Nigerian Education Loan Fund. In health, 1,480 primary healthcare centers have been revitalized, with 5,500 being upgraded across the country. In empowerment, the 75 billion naira Presidential Intervention Fund for MSMEs, SMEDAN's 11 billion naira support for SMEs, and NDDC's 30 billion naira Youth Entrepreneurship Fund is creating jobs and empowering Nigerians. A lot is being done to fulfill the promises of President Tinubu to Nigerians. He will do more. A message from the All Progressives Congress, APC.
Every winter, the world's most influential people come to Davos to negotiate the future face to face. Money, energy, war, AI, trade, innovation, and all else. Africa will be there as well as Nigeria. The decisions made here will shape what happens to everyone else. As always, Arise has a front row seat, not to admire power, but to interrogate and shape the future. Join me, Rhoda Odiri, Rolake Akinkube Filani, and Anise Osakwe. Trust us to be your guide to the 2026 World Economic Forum. Watching closer, listening harder, and translating the moment into what it means for your life. Because the decisions made here don't stay here. They travel into markets, into borders, into prices, into policies. Stay with Arise News in Davos 2026. We're alive, relentless, uncompromising. If it shifts the world, you'll see it first. On the world's standout global news channel, Arise News.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Impeachment proceedings against Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara are encountering internal pushback as lawmakers who once endorsed the move now advocate restraint, reflecting a growing reassessment of the risks and political costs of escalation. Two additional members of the House of Assembly yesterday appealed to their colleagues to suspend the ongoing impeachment proceedings against Governor Fubara and his deputy, Professor Ngozi Odu, while maintaining that the governor and his deputy allegedly breached certain constitutional provisions. The lawmakers said their call for restraint followed interventions by well-meaning leaders within Rivers State who had expressed concern about the possible consequences of the impeachment process. Joining us now on this show to discuss the situation in Rivers State is Darlington Orji, Special Advisor on Political Affairs to Rivers State Governor. Good morning, Mr. Orji, and thank you very much for joining us on the morning show.
Good morning, and thank you, Dr. Abati, Rufai, and Vimba for having me.
Okay, Mr. Orji, what is the situation right now in Rivers State? Is there hope that this impeachment process, removal of the governor from office, as proposed, would, die a burning, will be aborted? Now that at least we have 4 members of the House of Assembly saying they are no longer part of it. But if they go ahead with the impeachment process, the House will still get the 2/3 majority that they need. Is there hope that more people will also support the governor? And some people are asking, why is the governor and others just waking up now to frustrate the removal of the governor? That the governors, having gone through state of emergency, suspension for 6 months, should have anticipated this moment and should have divided, the House long before now, as a pragmatic politician. But just tell us what your take is on all of this.
Okay, thank you for giving me the privilege to lend my voice on some of the recent developments in Rivers State. Yes, we heard on the print media and national television that the impeachment proceeding has been forwarded to His Excellency the Governor. But I can confirm to you up until this minute, he has not received any proceedings from the Assembly. But you saw the 2 members that we are colleagues, making it 4, plus the 3 Assembly members that is already in our side. The truth of the matter is that there is no cause for even initiating the impeachment process against, because what we saw, this set of Assembly members, before you take such decision, you need to consult with your people. What is the grounds of impeachment? Of or gross misconduct has been alleged by the people? The answer is no. If you are in the state, if you are in Rivers State, to hear from the people and hear from the people in the system, you will know that this is just out by people who believe for that. But for us, by the special grace of God, when they have made their, some of them are also talking, the process is not taking into consideration the 6 months already lost by Rivers people, which is like what we should have been talking about, trading dividend of democracy to our people according to the electionary promises we made to our people, other than talking about impeachment. It will stall by the grace of God, because we know that it lacks merit, and the people are beginning to see the truth. And we believe God that maybe after they are sitting today, because we are hearing from the vineyard that they are meeting today, after they are sitting today, I'm very sure and convinced that they will drop the process, because there is no need for it. That is not what Rivers State wants for now. We want a better development to the people. We want the state to continue to run at the speed in which it was running before the interjection and the declaration of state of emergency. So for us, we are not worried, because we know that the distance between truth and lie is time. And because time is very close and people are beginning to come with the realities that this is not just about the people, this is about an individual who wants to muzzle and musculate and kill people, that he has the power to put or to withdraw. So for us, we are patient, we are watching. Now he made reference that it's like the governor is just waking up. No, the governor is not waking up. Abati, if you understand Siminalayi Fubara, His Excellency, this is a man that do not want to join issues with people. He's very calm, he's very humble, and I think that people are taking undue advantage on it. But I can assure you, Rivers people are with him, and it will not happen. The impeachment process, now that some of the members are seeing the truth and are beginning to realize and come back to the original reason why they were elected, not to impeach the governor, but to proffer a better solution and proffer a better rules for Rivers State to move forward.
Okay. Thank you so much for that background into our discussion today. I have two very simple questions for you. The first is that you've stated clearly that the governor is yet to be formally served with the impeachment papers themselves. And there's a lot of speculation. Some people are saying, well, you know, he quickly ran to Europe. Then from Europe, he went to Abuja. So he hasn't actually been in Port Harcourt physically for him to be able to be served. So can you clarify, is it that the governor is playing a game of hide and seek to avoid, the completion of that process, which is him receiving that notice? That's the first leg. The second leg of the question is that there are 8 allegations of gross misconduct, as you've already made reference to. Let's talk about what is being called the illegal appointment of persons without screening. Has Governor Fubara made any appointments? And if so, why were they not screened by the House of Assembly?
Okay, first of all, let me tell you, the governor is not a spirit to preempt the Rivers State House of Assembly that they were going to sit, because if you recall, the Assembly announced in their last sitting that they were going for recess to reconvene on 28th or thereabout. And the governor, after the festive period, decided to step out, maybe to have a rest or to attend to some other issues. The governor was not in town, as at the time they reconvened. Remember, they had an emergency sitting, not on the date that they agreed or they adjourned. That's one. So the governor didn't run away. The governor is not afraid of service, because there is no cockroach in his cupboard. He has nothing to hide. That's one. Then two, they talked about the issue of appointment. No, the governor is around now. The governor is in Port Harcourt now. But I can tell you on good authority that the governor has not made any appointment. Now, just be patient with me. Prior to the declaration of Supreme Court, when we had 2 assembly in Rivers State, there are people at the earlier stage of the lifespan of this government that was screened by Right Honorable Martin Amaewhule, about 8 commissioners among others. Then when we had a division, Right Honorable Oko Jumbo screened some other commissioners into the cabinet of Rivers State. Now, after the Supreme Court judgment, the governor decided to drop everybody that was screened by Right Honorable Oko Jumbo. The governor dropped them, leaving the 8 persons that was screened by Martin Amaewhule. Remember, by the judgment of the Supreme Court, Martin Amaewhule is the authentic speaker. So everybody that was screened by him, we are allowed. That's one. The second thing is that Martin Amaewhule approved about 15 special advisors to His Excellency the Governor before the crisis. So the only 5 appointments that were made are members of special advisors, which Martin Amehule has already given clearance to, and they do not go back to. They don't need to go back to Rivers State House of Assembly because they don't screen special advisors. Rather, the number you want will be approved and you make the nomination and appointment as you desire. So there is no appointment that has been done. All the board and parastatals, the people that are occupying it are the people that were appointed by the former sole administrator. So the governor has not breached anything. That's why I told you that what is just happening in Rivers State is a muscle play, a show of strength. That I put you, so I have the capacity to remove you.
That's why you didn't go, because you're also an appointee.
Yes, I cannot be screened. Okay. I cannot be screened. I cannot be screened because I'm a special advisor. What I need is the approval of the Rivers State House of Assembly, which they have done. They approved, Martin Amehule-led assembly approved 15 special advisors for His Excellency. And once that is done, we don't need to go back for screening. They are never screened. So as I speak to you, the governor has never appointed one person that requires to go through screening, and maybe he neglected the Rivers State House of Assembly. Such a thing never happened.
Okay. Mr. Darlington, Happy New Year. How much did the governor meet
Happy New Year, my brother.
Bless you. How much did the governor meet on ground when he came after the state of emergency? And can you tell me about the budget that was passed by the National Assembly? How much he met on ground? What has his spending expenditure been like? And does he need more money? Because there's been this talk about a need for a supplementary budget. Has he complained he needs more money? Secondly, the question I'll ask you...
Okay.
Go ahead. Answer that one first, if I can ask you. Answer that one first.
Oh, okay. Rufai, let me tell you. You see, when I tell you that people are playing to the gallery, the major problem in Rivers State is that the governor refused to present a supplementary budget. Now, recall that it's in public notice that the governor himself said that when he came back on board, that he has about 600 billion naira in the coffers of Rivers State government. That's what the governor said by himself. Now, after the crisis we had, the governor met with Martin Amehule, who is the Speaker of Rivers State House of Assembly, and Major Jack, the leader, and 3 other leaders or elders in Rivers State in one of the leaders' house, where they were discussing a way forward. In that meeting, the governor put up to them that, one, we have agreed that we need to move forward. So there are 3 lawmakers that were on our side. That is Right Honorable Oko Jumbo, Sokari Goodboy Sokari, and the Adolphus needs to be recorded, because remember that even the Supreme Court judgment covers them. That's one. And Martins raised in that meeting that the governor should present a supplementary budget, that the interest of Rivers State House of Assembly was not captured. And the governor said, we are in November. If the interest of Rivers State House of Assembly was not captured, me too, I did not make any input. And let us be patient. December is by the corner, 2025. When I will present a appropriation bill, every other interest that is not captured will be captured. There is no need. The year has already ended. And they said, you must present the budget. And the governor said, I don't have a need for supplementary budget. Record that the man that we know whether we have a need or not is the governor. And the man has said, I don't have a need because I have a running program. Yes, we did not envisage what happened to us, but the state of emergency came. We must live by the reality of times. I do not need more money. We have not implemented this budget to 100%. Remember that the lifespan of every appropriation bill is 12 months. Even though the framers of the Constitution never envisaged that in between there will be state of emergency that led to the presentation of budget by ABAS. So the lifespan of that budget is still running. If the governor have said, don't be worried, by December, we are going to present a new appropriation bill where all interest that was not captured initially will be captured. And they insisted because they want to satisfy their ego and all of that. So as it stands today, the governor do not need more money aside what is appropriated.
Okay, can I ask, how much is this money that will capture the interest of the National Assembly that the Martins Amehule faction is asking for in this budget? And how much are they telling you to present as a supplementary budget? How much are they telling him to present as a supplementary? How much is he envisaging to present as a supplementary budget? For how much is this money? Because obviously, from what you have said now, is because interests are not captured. In other words, they are fighting over money. It's money that is causing this, I will impeach you, I will not impeach you. All they talk about supplementary budget is money they are fighting for. So let's know how much is this money involved that will take care of their own interests so that we know where we are going.
Okay. Rufai, you know that your platform is a very respected one, and I will not come here to tell lies, and because I don't want to tell lies, I will not say what I'm not sure of. Now, because the governor did not agree with them on that, so they didn't come up with a presentation. You know that in preparing budget, there are too many things that will be inputted that will make up the appropriation bill. And when they said the interest was not captured, and the man said, don't worry, we are by December. So the specific amount, I do not know as it stands today, because that presentation was not made because His Excellency the Governor refused to accept that. But don't forget, in December, there was 100,000 naira that was given to civil servants as a way of appreciating them, an end-of-year package. It was also given to the members of River State House of Assembly.
But they rejected it.
Some people rejected the money.
Yeah.
Because, I'm coming, Rufai. They rejected it that it was not appropriated. You cannot build something on nothing. Now you rejected because 100,000 was not appropriated. Can you ask them, please, sir? The 350 million naira that was given to each of them for their constituency project, where did it come from? The SUV cars that we are presented to all of.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I said 350 million naira that was given to each of them. Why did they not reject it since it was not appropriated?
Who gave that to them?
SUV cars.
Who gave that to them? Who gave that to them for constituency project?
It was a bus, the sole administrator, after the signing of the Appropriation Act, that's the budget has been passed to law. It was there they gave them the money. Why did they not say it was not captured? The SUV car, and by the way, remember, like I told you, that we have 3 other members that are members of River State House of Assembly. Martin Amehule and his leadership refused to give them their own 350 million, even though it was given. Refused to give them their own SUV cars, even though it was given. And in one of their claims again, they said that River State government or the governor refused to pay them their salary. And I can tell you on good authority, as we speak today, that members of River State House of Assembly are not being owed a dime.
Can I just ask you this?
Including the arrears during that crisis, we are all
Can I just ask you this, Mr. Darlington? Do you have evidence that a bus gave them 350 million and SUV? What kind of SUV? What kind of Jeep did they give them? Is it Range Rover or Toyota? Which one?
Is I think Range Rover 2025.
2025 Range Rover. So you have
my brother.
You have all this evidence that Ibas gave each of them 350 million for constituency project and Range Rover 2025.
Okay.
I can make the record available to you.
Please make it available.
We are giving 350 million naira each.
Okay, Mr.
I don't have it at hand because I never knew you were going to cite it.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Oji, you know that the State House of Assembly, once it accuses a sitting governor of gross misconduct, it doesn't even have to offer any explanation. The court of law will only derail the process, cancel it, if due process is not followed. As long as the House of Assembly follows the process as outlined in Section 188, the impeachment stands. So how they interpret gross misconduct is what they consider to be gross misconduct. Now, 4 of the lawmakers are now on your side. I think there's still about 28 or 27 left, about 32 lawmakers in that House of Assembly. So can you assure us categorically, or are you sure that this impeachment process will not go through, and why?
Okay, thank you. I can assure you by the special grace of God, not by my making.
No, don't bring God into it. Please. Just deal with the process. Okay. Leave God alone.
I said, Abati, I agree with you. I said I'm going to, okay, let me say that I am very convinced that because members are now coming to the terms and members are realizing and even taking from the reason they are all alluding that they have been caught by the leaders in the state and in and outside Rivers State, that they are going to retrace their steps. I can tell you for free that this process will not skate through because there is no truth in it. And like you said, that they have, it is only them that can interpret when there is misappropriation, or gross misconduct. Yes, but you will also agree with me that so many courts in the land too has also annulled so many impeachment processes because it didn't follow due process. So for us, what I can tell you, I'm not a member of the House, but I can tell you because I'm on ground. I can tell you because we reach out to, so many of them are my friends, and we have always worked together before now. This process, they are not happy on what they are doing, and I'm sure that before the end of the day and within the upper week, that this process will be completely put to rest.
Okay, I like your optimism. So we should expect more people withdrawing from the process. Apart from the 4, how many more do you expect will withdraw? Put a figure to it.
Well, I cannot be emphatic, but like I can tell you, when they raised that issue, they were 26. As of today, they are 22. And as the day goes by, like I told you, that the distance between truth and lie is time. So as the time draws nearer, people are beginning to realize that the step and the way they are going is not for the best interest of Rivers State. So I'm very sure that it will be dropped and their numbers will reduce by the.
All right. Well, thank you so much. That's all we have time for. When you say you're pretty sure that they are not happy with what they're doing, it makes it seem like they were possibly coerced. But unfortunately, we won't be able to delve deeper into that. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll have Arutis Odiri to give us updates on global business activities. Do stay with us.
In the beating heart of Owerri, business never sleeps. From sunrise to sundown, the wheels keep turning. And behind the scenes, vision meets action. Governor Hope Uzodimma's leadership has turned manifestos into reality, transformations that feels like a miracle. But progress needs peace, and in Imo, it's not left to chance. From land to sky to river deep, Guardians are watching, protecting dreams and opportunity. At Orashi's quiet shore, hydropower is rising, set to energize a growing economy. The change is visible. New roads emerge, industry hums, communities come alive. At the center, a digital revolution. 500,000 young minds trained each year to build the future. As Orashi rises, so does Imo and the hopes of a hard-working people. A new Imo is on the rise.
Thinking of banking in Africa? Think Zenith. In today's fast-moving, fast-changing world, you need a financial partner that understands your unique expectations. A bank digitally connected across Africa and global financial centers with the enabling platform to facilitate seamlessly whenever, wherever, however. A bank with smart financial solutions from a systemized blend of technology and human touch. For easy, fast, and secure banking that creates real value. Turning dreams into reality is now in your hands. People, technology, service. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
I am the chef of life.
Mr. Chef, it's a 2-finger crush.
Pass me the chicken and bubble.
With Mr. Chef, a simple crush turns meals into culture and moments into memories.
This is the true taste of home.
And culture.
Chef of life.
Africa's biggest gaming conference, Age 2026, is coming. The ultimate convergence of innovators, operators, regulators, investors, and creators, redefining gaming across the continent. Experience immersive exhibitions, thrilling competitions, and powerful insights on sports betting, lotteries, casinos, slots, and fintech, all in one place. This is where ideas ignite opportunities, and Africa steps boldly onto the global stage under the theme Africa's Gaming Market, Frontier to Prominence. Join us March 24th to 27th, 2026 at the AKO Convention Center, Lagos, Nigeria, to experience 4 unforgettable days of innovation, inspiration, and impact. Register now on www.ageafrica.org/register. Whether you're a regulator, operator, game developer, fintech, or an investor, this is where Africa's gaming revolution unfolds. Don't just watch the future, be part of it.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Now for global business updates, Rotus Udiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Dr. Bassi. Good morning, Vimbai. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, all our viewers. Lots of energy inflation and dating for Friday. But quickly, energy oil is down because Trump's kind of backed off on the impending military action in Iran, saying that, well, want to see what happens. So Brent crude 63, West Texas 58. As we know, Trump wants more deals in the United States for fossil fuels. Atheon is a company, private family-owned company that's in, I think, Dallas, Texas. They are selling some of their oil and gas assets to Mitsubishi Corporation. Mitsubishi, the group, of course, that includes the vehicle. So it's a $5.2 billion deal, including $2.3 billion in debt. It comes to about $7.5 billion. And they're essentially buying into those oil and gas assets in America. A quote from the company basically saying the U.S. gas market is the world's largest in domestic demand, production, and exports, and further demand growth is expected, driven by rising power needs from AI data centers. Moving on from there, some energy headlines. So President Trump, apparently there's going to be a press conference today. They are trying to get big tech. You just saw that quote now on AI data centers and the demand for energy. They want tech companies to pay for energy in the United States, because what we're seeing is that these big data centers are driving costs of energy up for the neighborhoods where the data centers are located. Also in the headlines, so you know Trump doesn't like wind. He came into office saying that, I think it's because he was trying to build a golf course somewhere and they denied him because of a wind farm that was ever since then. He's had beef with wind. So he says that wind causes birds to die and they are bad sources of energy. He came into office and blocked wind companies or energy companies that were building wind infrastructure across the US. 2 of them took him to court. One of them is Ørsted. Ørsted is a Danish company. They were building a wind infrastructure. Building in Rhode Island. They won a judgment in court to continue. Another one is Equinor. Equinor is a Norwegian company that was also building some wind infrastructure in New York. So the ruling has said they can continue building. More energy news. Ford, this has caused some backlash. Ford is apparently in talks with BYD to use their batteries for their hybrid vehicles in their overseas factories. According to the Wall Street Journal, Ford is talking to other companies as well. But Peter Navarro has already come out and said he took the screenshot of the news and said, why is Ford doing business with our adversaries? Because BYD, of course, is a Chinese company. And don't forget, they started in 1995 as a battery company before going into energy. Speaking of that, Tesla video went viral a couple days ago, about 1.5 million views. Tesla has built a gigantic lithium refinery in Texas, just outside of Corpus Christi, supposed to be able to supply about anywhere from 550,000 or more electric vehicle batteries in a particular year. It's pretty huge. It's supposed to be able to reduce the United States reliance on nations like China, basically all about energy independence for the United States. And then what else is happening in the energy space? Okay, yeah, electric vehicle sales, numbers coming out, rising, and electric vehicle sales overall, 20% growth globally. Notice this, China up 17%, Europe up 33%, North America down 1.4% as a result of cutting off of energy subsidies in the United States and this push towards fossil fuels. So around the rest of the world, electric vehicle sales are growing. To Nigeria, Bloomberg has this article on how solar energy is scaling in Nigeria, thanks in part to a $750 million push from the World Bank. Also, you have a number of smaller solar energy players. You've got the rural electrification project going on in rural Nigeria. But if you look at the figures, 1,721 megawatts worth of solar panels imported in Nigeria in the first half of 2025. It was under 500 megawatts. Nigeria is second, apparently, only to South Africa for imports of solar energy. And who exports the most solar energy panels around the world? China. So, of course, China will be benefiting from that. But at least as far as energy diversification, it helps. Inflation coming in, MBS did warn about that spike. So they had to do an adjustment based on the base effects. So 15.5% from 14.45 in November. And finally, Friday, for those of you who are planning on going out on dates, there's a viral moment that has turned into a business opportunity. This isn't anything new. This lady went viral on TikTok because she said before any man takes her out, he has to make a deposit to pay for her preparation for the dates. So she ended up going to talk to an app company, and now she's developing an app for the, this is something other people do, but it's a business opportunity, and now it's gone viral. Why are you saying she should go and sleep? It's not new now.
She can't pay me.
She's now developing an app.
She should go and...
In history, yeah.
Roses, give her bed to go and sleep.
That's all.
I will spend money. I will not be
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Abasi.
America started selling Venezuelan
oil. Yeah.
$500 million they've made, and Trump is going to manage it himself.
By himself.
They will sell more in the days to come. And in any case, this dating app, they have it in Nigeria too.
Yeah, yes, so.
There are some girls in Nigeria who say, even if you invite them to a party, you have to pay.
You must pay.
I've read things like that on Instagram.
You must pay for everything.
Don't be shocked. It's here in Nigeria. Yes.
Any girl that says that they doesn't deserve me.
Even if you invite them to an event,
you must pay. Her makeup, her hair,
that
her
says
shoes,
her
dress.
To come to my event does not deserve
Somebody
me.
is asking me how I take no. I don't want to mention him. It's on Instagram.
Not somebody, I don't do hookers.
Dr. Abasi,
These are not hookers. These are prominent Nollywood society people.
Prominent what? Prominent what?
Should we open the Ayash? Should I go there?
Excuse me.
We're done.
It's in the Oxford Dictionary.
It's in the Oxford Dictionary.
So should I open their derriere?
Okay.
These people you call prominent.
You are free to go.
Yes, thank you so much.
And when we return, we'll be talking to Gbadebo Rhodes Bible, the chieftain of the African Democratic Congress, ADC. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Do your style, show your smile. Do your future, show your tutor. Do your stream, share your dream. Do your passion, share your fashion. Do your pain, show your game. Do your friendship, share your time. Do your laughter, make it true. With Glow YouTube.
Do you 250 Naira for 5 hours, 600 Naira for 14 hours. Dial *312#.
With Glow YouTube bundles. Do you?
Glow Unlimited.
In this life, it's what you do behind that shows in front.
Give us the fire. Tell us more. It's Cosmo or nothing. Luxury or not. This is Cosmo.
That's why I wrote Cosmo Judgment. No sweat, no stains, no odor. Now you know. Cosmo Roll-On Whitening Deodorant.
All day freshness, 7 days a week from GVS Cosmetics.
Buying your Airpiece ticket just got easier with Fidelity Bank. When you book on flyairpiece.com, choose Fidelity payment options and complete your payment effortlessly. With Fidelity Bank, you can pay with transfer, fast, secure, and powered by Fidelity. Buy now, pay later, enjoy flexible payments, and travel stress-free. Book on hold. Lock in your travel plans and pay when you're ready. Whichever you choose, every transaction is quick, seamless, and protected. No stress, no hassle. Just smooth payments every time. Because with Fidelity Bank, flying Airpiece isn't just about getting there, it's about getting there with ease. Fly Airpiece. Pay the Fidelity way. Simple, safe, convenient. Visit flyairpiece.com to get started.
We are Fidelity. We.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Now, residents of Jakonde Estate, Ilason, along the Lekki-Epe Expressway in Lagos have appealed to the Lagos state government to immediately stop the ongoing demolition in the estate. The estate, built in the 1990s by the Latif Jakonde-led administration to resettle displaced Morocco residents, is under threat as demolition continues despite an interim court injunction restraining the state government pending the hearing of a suit filed in 2025. Residents say several peaceful protests at the Etiosa Local Government Secretariat and the Lagos State House of Assembly have failed to yield results, with the latest protests allegedly met with force and police brutality. They also fault the government's compensation plan as inadequate and not reflective of current housing realities in Lagos, insisting they remain open to dialogue while pursuing justice through the courts.
If you go to the estate now, even right now as I'm talking, they're still destroying. And people are miling out outside, sleeping on the road, no food, children crying all over the place. Those of us who are widowers and we are aged, we don't even know where to go to.
We are landlords, and you want to turn us to tenants overnight, which has even happened already. The majority of the people right now are desolate. As I speak to you right now, if you come inside the estate, you will see a lot of people wandering. They don't have where to go. They don't know their next whereabouts. Please, we are pleading and we are calling for this Lagos state government, in its person of Sanwo-Olu, to please look into our plight.
We got an interim order of the court to restrain them from destroying the property pending the determination of the suit. The order lapsed sometimes in November 2024, 12th November 2024, and then we got an extension of the order to 4th of February 2026. Now, this order is still subsisting. And to our greatest dismay, the government is demolishing the estate despite the order of the court.
Well, joining us on the show to discuss the ongoing demolition in Jakonde is Gbadebo Rhodes Viva, a chieftain of the African Democratic Congress, ADC. Good morning and welcome to the morning show today.
Good
It's
morning.
great to have you.
Thanks
Happy
for
New
having
Year.
me. Same to you. Happy New Year.
Well, Mr. Rhodes Viva, the last time you were here, you were defending persons, families whose houses were demolished in Oronshuki. And you went there, you visited the place. This time around, it is Jakonde Estate, where demolition is also going on.
Yes.
Okay, what's the motivation? Is it, concern for the people's plight? Because as in Oworo, in this Jakonde estate, there was court injunction,
yes,
which was disregarded. But the state government says it will pay compensation, and that is committed to paying compensation. Now, it's good to identify with the people, but in what you wrote on your X account, you went a step further. You said this demolition, power-drunk government in Lagos State must go, has to go. That's the expression you use. But, is it your public spiritedness that is the motivation, or you are just playing partisan politics? Because when you attack the government and you say the government must go, that's politics. That's no longer identifying with the people.
Thank you so much, sir, for that question. That statement on X that you're referring to came from the fact that I visited Ilaso myself. And I met with a gentleman called Engineer Maru, who had been detained for 3 days. He had just been released a couple of days before I came there. In front of me, they beat this man to coma. In front of me. In front of me, the so-called task force of Lagos State threatened to beat me and harm me, and started beating people that were next to me mercilessly.
If they had beaten you up too,
So when I was there, I saw people were running away. And I turned back and I saw they were running away from task force. So I went to go and meet the task force. You want to beat me? Okay, now, do it. And then there were other people next to me, and they started beating them. And when I not moved, they fired tear gas at me. Now, this is the violence that has come to define this government, sir. When you have a lawless government that does not even follow court injunctions, that is talking about compensation, 11.2 million. 11.2 million cannot afford a 2-3 bedroom apartment in that area today. And you see how the government has been turned into an institution for land grabbing. Section 28 of the Land Use Act says that government can take land for overriding public interest. But you see all these lands are being taken for private individuals who are only going to build more expensive housing, create more of the cost of living crisis, and then you now have a huge amount of homeless young men that are just walking around the streets without any shelter. And they cannot afford any shelter. And you see development is constantly at the exclusion of the poor. We talked about Alhaji Jakonde's vision. Yes, people were upset how he displaced people, right, for Morocco situation. But then these people were now housed here. Now, these people have been here for over 20 years. You're now going there to chase these ones two away, right? Because now the value of land there has increased. And you're not compensating them fairly. Where are they going to go to, right? And they have title documents, but they are destroying their properties and then inflicting violence on them. And this is why I said that this lawless land-grabbing government has to go. Now, if they were kind, empathetic, if they had a plan of inclusive development where they can even section some of the site away and say, this part will be high-density development, the rest of this part will be luxury development. You see a plan of inclusivity, I will not talk. Because development must happen. Cities must grow, cities must develop, but it should not be at the detriment of the poor. Lagos State is over 80% poor. To afford 11.2 million rent, you have to at least be earning almost 2 million a month. How many people in Lagos can afford to earn 2 million a month?
I just want to step in, especially when we start using terms like land grabbing, because the Lagos State Building Control Agency, of course, has issued a number of statements on this. And in their statements, because this is ongoing, this has been happening over the years. So this is in 2024. They refer to the shanties and illegal structures that have been developed around formal structures in Jakonde and say that they have persistently issued eviction notices. They have tried, and these people don't vacate the premises for obvious reasons. What is the alternate solution that you're providing? Because if you've consistently issued eviction notices to people in shanties, I'm referring to the shanties now and the illegal structures, and they don't vacate, what do you think should be the next course of action?
Thank you so much, because in your statement, you used the keyword shanties. when you look at the statement issued by the Lagos State Agency, they said they are going to destroy the illegal structures and shanties. Now, if that's what they did, I will not say anything. Because like you said, they are illegal structures, right? This is not a situation where these communities like Makoko existed as long as Lagos has existed. So you cannot define them as illegal. But now you are destroying buildings that were built by Alhaji Lateef Jakande. You cannot call those buildings illegal. You let them go into such disrepair. The idea could have been, okay, you know what, let us improve on these buildings. Let us create more social amenities for these people. There must be a place where people that are going to service all the rich people on the island live. There are families that are being destroyed because the fathers are not seeing their children, mothers are not seeing their children. The whole week, they only go back on weekends because they cannot even afford transportation. So if we are talking about shanties, illegal structures, because yes, there are all these small shanties that are built around there, I will not say anything about that. Your video directly showed buildings being brought down. And those buildings are legal buildings. And the people that own them have title documents.
Okay. How many buildings, how many people there have title documents? Do we have a documentation so we know how many families we're talking about?
I cannot give you a number of the exact number of families, to be honest with you. I've not gone to that detail.
Title documents for
so
all of this.
every unit has a title document.
For the whole unit or for one of the
Each unit has a title document.
Unit, okay.
Yes, each unit has a title document. And I've been informed that the Lagos State is offering them 11.2 million.
How many units do we have there in total?
No, there are several units. I've not counted the numbers of them. Yes.
So we know how many, so I just wanted to extrapolate on the numbers so we know how many thousands of Lagosians we're dealing with.
So that entire complex houses about 4,000 people.
4,000
people. About 4,000 people, yes. Yeah. Now, obviously, you break that down. A family unit might be 4 people, might be 5 people, might be 6 people. I can't get into that exact number. But that complex house is about 4,000 people, right? And I think even the bigger point is that it's getting harder and harder to find affordable housing in Lagos in general. A lot of work is on the island. There must be accommodation for people to work close, to live close to where they work. And constantly, from Ororo or Otodogbami to now Jakande, there's like this violent push against the poor.
Okay. What would be an ideal compensation for them? Because like we've seen, they've already demolished on people's buildings and everything. What would be an ideal compensation for somebody that owned maybe a 2 or 3? I don't know how were the flats.
2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms.
2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms. What would be an ideal compensation for somebody that owned a 2 bedroom? What would be an ideal compensation for someone that owned a 3 bedroom?
Okay. So for me, a humane way of dealing with this is looking at the projected value of that land now that you are going to sell it for. You see with Makoko, they want to sand fill, and after that, they are selling each unit for about 600, 700 million, some flats 300, 400 million. But you want to get that kind of money by only paying 11.2 million and demolishing things. I would say, ideally, section some of that land out, build high rises, and let these people relocate them there. So that because there are people that are working, they've lived there, they have friends, they have networks, they have their jobs, this is where they earn a living. Let them still stay in that area, provide social amenities for them. Then you can now have 70% of the land to do the luxury buildings that you want to do, right? Because if we now start saying that, okay, you're going to charge about 300 million per flat in this place, so pay maybe 30 or 40% of that. Then they will now say that then makes the project reduces the feasibility of that project.
I know when we say 300 or 400 million per flat, it's not that easy because even when they do all the high-end luxury real estate, most of the properties are empty. They do.
Yes.
So you have close to 50-60% of these properties empty. But the question I'd like to ask you is, where are those people going to go as we speak now? The 4,000 people.
Now, this is the problem which I talk about, and it talks to a security problem, because now you have a lot of young, able-bodied men that are just going to hang around. This is all they know. And you just see, this is how you see people, you call them street boys, or they will just be around. They will create more shanties, find places where they can create shanties and stay there, right? So that is what will now start causing even more insecurity on the island.
Okay, well, this idea of inclusive urban development and all that, it has its own risks, but don't let us waste time on that, because you say you build luxury apartments and then you provide an area boy, ordinary people quarters next to the, there could be issues. However, that's not the focus. Now, why pro-people activism is important, is useful, and all of that. Apart from, talking to the media, visiting, have you tried directly to engage the state government and said, okay, we are in the opposition, but these are our ideas. Is it possible for you to look at the subject this way? Have you ever done anything like
I've done
to
that.
provide alternative views?
Sir, I've done that. I've been doing that for years, since the election.
Do you follow the right channel? Do you follow the right
I put
channel?
out statements, sir. I've even written letters to the government. There was no response to it. I've been to the site. Even the fact that I'm a leading opposition figure in this state, they had the audacity to threaten to harm me with cameras there. This is the level of power drunkenness that has overcome this government. And that's why I said what I said. I could have gone there and I could have met people that explained their position calmly, because nobody was fighting them. Nobody was stopping what they were doing. They've already destroyed the place. They could have explained calmly, but they didn't. Okay. They chose violence. And this violence has been coming. NSAS, the elections, when I wanted to do my affirmation, the center come and destroy place. But sir, I just want to say something quickly on this coexistence of people. I practiced architecture in England for some time. For us to get planning permission in the most highbrow places of London or in England, there must be an affordable housing component in that development. And that's what I mean by inclusive development. This thing is not, the way you treat and humanize people is how they will be in society. If we've looked at people and just say they are no good, we don't provide any amenities for them, we don't care about them, they will be no good. But when you provide amenities for them, schools, education, healthcare, show that there's value to their life, you will see that society will thrive.
Well, thank you so much for lending your voice to this issue. I'm sure.
Position is that perhaps such people they should go and live in the suburbs. In Abule Egba, Okoko, Maiko.
It shows the
not in Lekki.
No, it shows
not in.
I'm sure this. We have a live development. We have a live development. Whatever roads. Thank you so much. I do expect Lagos State government to make a response to that. This is a live development. The Rivers State House of Assembly that failed to reconvene plenary yesterday, 1 week after adjourning as impeachment proceedings against Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy, is on the verge of sitting today, Friday morning. The Rivers Assembly members are currently briefing the press.
They are not prepared to retrace their steps and govern in line with the Constitution. They are adamant. Their strategy is to intimidate us into withdrawing the process for the third time while they continue their infractions on the Constitution and the law. They are insisting that others will come and we will not perform the oversight function like other state legislation in the Federation. This is very bad for our democracy. On this note, we are proceeding with the impeachment process. We thank Mr. President for his fatherly effort so far that the governor and the deputy governor have both disregarded. Let me call on my colleague to say something concerning this issue. Thank you. Shift.
Gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, Emilia Loki Amade. I represent the good people of Obiakpo State Constituency 2. What Honorable Barile Wako just said now is that we have resolved to proceed with the impeachment process. We had earlier taken a position to consider a political solution, but the governor and deputy governor are ignoring us. And regarding the House of Authority, to the ground, they are insisting the Constitution and that nothing will happen. There are strong indications that they are adamant to continue with illegal actions in the state. And they are boasting that we do not matter and cannot perform oversight functions or even be ever allowed to pass an appropriation bill. They are telling us that directives of their why they continue this. And we consider these threats and their intentions a slap to the Supreme Court that gave judgment warning to governor and deputy governor. We must defend the institution of the legislature. And we call on all and sundry to rally round and resist enemies of our democracy. Finally, we extend our gratitude to Mr. President for doing so much for the peace for our support and prayers. Thank you.
Gentlemen of the press, my name is Honorable Major Jack. I represent the good people of Akugutoro Constituency 1. I'm an Ijaw man in the Rivers State House of Assembly. Today, we are about to tell Rivers people that what we are doing is institutional. There is no ethnic, nobody's ethnicity. We are here to defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic 1999 as amended. Therefore, we have urged Mr. Speaker to this House for us to sit and continue with the impeachment process. Thank you.
Gentlemen of the press, I'd love to clarify that impeachment is one of the mechanisms set up in the Constitution for checks and balances. Impeachment is not and should not have any ethnic agenda. My name is Linda Somiari Stewart. I represent the people of Okrika State constituency. I'm an Ijaw woman. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Honorable Dokiton Smart. I represent the good people of Port Harcourt State Constituency 2. Just like my colleagues have said earlier, I think I have nothing much to add to it, but just to say what we intend or are about to do is one of our duties as legislators, which is to check or to oversight the executive. Section 118, subsection Section 7, are giving out the constitution to check or to supervise or to investigate when there are allegations or notice of gross misconduct. Like I said earlier, I don't have much to add to it, but impeachment is not a death sentence. As an Ijaw son, I'm saying to my Ijaw brothers that what we intend doing ethnicity or tribal sentiment. Thank you very much and God bless you.
I'm Takenare Wellington Granville. I represent Masarauta Constituency 1. I'm an Ijaw son. I tried as much as possible when Peter Abi spoke to me, and I considered some of this. But the plans, the strategy of the governor, I must tell you, is to murder democracy. The strategy of the governor is to eliminate the legislative arm of government. So it's quite unfortunate. I can't help it. It's a constitutional matter. It's quite unfortunate that the governor is an authoritative governor, a strong man governor, and an executive autocrat. Sincerely speaking, never again Rivers people have such. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Honorable Lolo Isaiah Opwende, Toru Constituency 2. I am speaking as an Ijoman, and nobody is more Ijo than others. Those issuing threats, those not go on, the of this problem. While we assessment process, the governor was busy paying people to say they want to withdraw us from our constituency. Is that the right thing to do? If you need peace, you should have called the leadership of the assembly to say, what is the way forward? What do we do? But that is, and we should not put a particular problem that is impeachment is a constitutional matter, and the legislature take their own. For others to do their own. If you impeached, then peace and negotiate with the assembly. But you are not doing so. Rather, you are bringing up. You are creating pity party in the social media. We don't to sitting and
Press, the good people of Rivers State. My office, Kadban Andoni, the same federal constituency with the governor. I'm a man of integrity. As I'm saying to you today, there is nothing that we are doing that is not in the Constitution. The Supreme Court has summarized everything. There was no governance in Rivers State. And also said that we have a despot. Stop tribal sentiment is to look into the allegation one by one and check if there was any infringement on the Constitution. So it's a constitutional matter. I stand by what I have by it, and I still stand by it. So I thank you. The assembly to do the we are
good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Honorable Arnold Davis. I'm of the Ejo extraction. I was into the 10th Assembly to uphold to the Constitution, not to represent an ethnic group. What we are discussing here is all about Constitution. And we know we were elected to follow the Constitution as it is written in the 1999 Constitution as amended. What we are doing here today is not out of place. We are doing what we are elected to do. And 188 has given us the power to impeach the governor, the deputy, if infringe into the Constitution. So I want to join my to say that we are in line and we'll thank you.
I am Honorable John Dominic Derima. I represent Abu Aodo State constituency. At the same time, I'm the minority chief whip. I'm an Ijo son. Politics matter. I've heard and I'm calling. God bless.
Thank you once again. Abe representing Digema State constituency, which is an Ijo constituency, and I'm head for my Ijo brothers and colleagues. This is not an
Okay. Okay, breaking news there from the Rivers State House of Assembly. Very briefly, just a number of things. We had interviewed Mr. Oji, special advisor, and he was optimistic that the matter in Rivers State will not get to this stage. And now here it is, not up to 30 minutes after he left the screen. However, two things. Number one is, the question should be asked, why is the House of Assembly in Rivers State impeaching both the governor and the deputy governor? Because
it's called two-factor authentication.
No.
Double blocking.
No, because
so,
if
they don't want the governor and deputy governor.
No, if you look at the details, the deputy governor, merely acts as an assistant, acts on the basis of directives given by the governor. It's not as if she has direct responsibility. The political part of it is that maybe it's the Speaker of the House of Assembly himself who wants to become governor, because that's what the Constitution says. In the absence of the governor and the deputy governor, you wipe them out, then the Speaker will go and take over. So it looks like an attempt at a coup plot in Rivers State by the legislative coup. The second point is that I hope the lawmakers who have been quoting the Section 188 of the Constitution, they must realize that they have to follow due process. First, whatever they do must be within the designated premises. And then, what they will do now is they will vote on the motion. They will say, well, the process will continue. Then the chief judge will take over, who will have to appoint a panel. That panel will have 3 months. And that panel of 7 persons must be persons of unquestionable, what was that word that man used? Integrity. Yeah. I hope they can still find persons, 7 persons
I'm born again. I have integrity.
Of questionable integrity in Rivers State. So this is just the beginning, because if that panel says there's no case to answer, then there will be no case to answer. But it's a developing story. We'll keep an eye on it.
It's certainly a developing process. I hope that we can carry it into what's
I just want to sing one song, because all of this is about
integrity.
No, it's about supplementary budgets. I'm going to leave you this song. Money everywhere.
Okay.
Money.
On that note, of course, we also heard them chime in about ethnicity, and we know that just 24 hours ago, the president of the Ijaw National Congress had said that the Ijaw people will always stand behind Sim Fubara. Anyway, it's now time for a short break. Still to come.
As far as your eyes can see, you can own it. Built on integrity, surrounded by nature, a place where you feel alive. With golf course, amusement park, artificial lake, sports centers, residential and commercial spaces. Be among the first to invest for greater returns and a new lifestyle. Utu exclusive. Live, play, relax. Invest today.
In the beating heart of Owerri, business never sleeps. From sunrise to sundown, the wheels keep turning. And behind the scenes, vision meets action. Governor Hope Uzodimma's leadership has turned manifestos into reality, transformations that feels like a miracle. But progress needs peace, and in Imo, it's not left to chance. From land to sky to river deep, Guardians are watching, protecting dreams and opportunity. At Orashi's quiet shore, hydropower is rising, set to energize a growing economy. The change is visible. New roads emerge, industry hums, communities come alive. At the center, a digital revolution. 500,000 young minds trained each year to build the future. As Orashi rises, so does Imo and the hopes of a hard-working people. A new Imo is on the rise.
In most parts of the world, girl child are not recognized in the family. I hope all this problem holding down a girl child did not hold me down.
idea behind the project is to identify schools that we think the parents are not economically empowered to sponsor their children to schools.
In demonstration of our commitment to reducing that number, we've come here today to provide some of the essentials that we believe would help the children in school. We worked with different schools in 5 states across the country, and we reached out to 15,000 children.
I want to be a food scientist, and Polaris Bank is helping me realize this dream. I'm perfectly excited.
From the savannah to the shore, we stand as one. Under one flag, till the rising sun. Duty in our hearts, courage in our name. We guard the land through fire and rain. Defenders of the homeland, standing strong and free for the peace of tomorrow, for you and me, with honor and faith. We answer the call, Nigeria she. We will not fall.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now with stories trending around the world is Anieze Osakwe. Well, yes. By the way, one of my friends, Clement Bemudu, he was my friend, classmate, Calabar, 81 to 85. He said I don't pronounce the name Anieze very well. That Anieze means heaven, but that what I say is something else. What's the correct pronunciation?
Well, my full name is actually Anieze Chukwu, which
Anieze Chukwu.
Yes, which is God's kingdom. So that's the full, yes. Anieze Chukwu. Yes. Okay. Oh, wow. Well, you guys are really bringing everything to this.
Everything we do here. The guy sent me long notice, sent pronunciation. Wow. And all that. Maybe I Yorubanize it.
Yes, a little bit.
I will learn it properly.
A little bit.
Okay, thank you, Clement.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Dr. Abachi. Good to see you. Good to be here with you. Vimbai, good morning.
Good morning, Annie. We're waiting for your Davos Chronicles.
Yes, Davos content coming soon.
Annie Geneva.
Annie Geneva, exactly. He knows.
C'est fini là-bas.
C'est fini là-bas. And
the accent.
Good morning to everyone out there. Thank you all for starting your day with us. We begin what's trending in Abuja with countless reactions from social media to the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar's son, Abba Atiku, making the unexpected decision, as you see there, to ditch his father's former party, the People's Democratic Party, and join the ruling All Progressives Congress. Now, the defection was announced on Thursday at the National Assembly alongside APC leaders from the Northeast, with Abba describing the move as historic and personal. He even said he wants to be instrumental in bringing President Tinubu's second term to life. But shortly after that revelation, the former vice president reacted himself swiftly to his son's decision. And in a Thursday evening post on X, Atiku seemed somewhat okay with his son's decision, saying, and I'll take Atiku's tweet, "The decision of my son, Abba Abubakar, to join the APC is entirely personal. In a democracy, such choices are neither unusual nor alarming, even when family and politics intersect. As a Democrat, I do not coerce my own children in matters of conscience, and I certainly will not coerce Nigerians. What truly concerns me is the poor governance of the APC and the severe economic and social hardships it has imposed on our people. I remain resolute in working with like-minded patriots to restore good governance and offer Nigerians a credible alternative that brings relief, hope, and progress." And I'll take one more reaction from Fisayo, who says, Atiku is an ADC, but his son formerly of the PDP, has joined APC with a vow to work for Tinubu in 2027. Now, Atiku has released a statement defending his son's entirely personal decision, saying he won't coerce his son to act against his convictions. But you, an Ojuelegba-based civil servant earning $85K a month, have begun sharpening your machete to inflict damage on a fellow victim of Nigeria who won't vote for APC. Your tomfoolery is indescribable.
Very apt.
Very apt. And in a statement from the Lagos chapter of the APC, they basically asked the question that if a man's son deserts his political judgment, how do you expect an entire nation to support you? So how has all of this made Atiku's potential run for president more difficult? Dr. Abati, I'll start with you.
No, the people asking the question, saying, oh, if the son goes to another party, then it means why should the nation vote for the man? No, that's completely irrelevant. The son, Abba Abubakar, is an adult. He has, under the constitution of the country, the right to make his own choice. Politics is not something that is genetic. You can make your own choice depending on your own circumstances and your own beliefs. And what the son of the Waziri Adamawa has said is that he believes in the Restore Hope agenda and that he wants to support President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2027, and he wants to support him to be re-elected, and that he has been inspired by the likes of Senator Barau Jibrin, who is the Deputy Senate President. He was very clear enough, and he's an adult. He can make up his own mind. And it's just as well that his father says, well, it's a personal choice. He's not in a position to dictate either to Nigerians or to his own children, because this is a democratic process where people can make their own choices. And when we discussed this earlier on, I said, this is not the first time this will happen. In March 1957, I said, in the federal elections, Alvan Ikoku, a renowned educationist in this country, whose image is on the 10 naira note of Nigeria, was in one political party, UNIP, United National Independent Party. His son, Samuel Ikoku, was in an action group. Both father and son wanted the same position in the Eastern Region House of Assembly. Now, the son defeated the father, and the son went ahead to become the leader of the opposition in that Eastern Nigeria House of Assembly. They didn't stop being father and son because they made different choices. In this case, Abba Abubakar is not running for presidency of Nigeria. He said he has a different person that should be president. So I don't see why people are now trying to say if his son rejects him, then it means he's not good enough for other Nigerians. No, that's too pedestrian, the way to see the matter.
As usual.
Very interesting.
Dr. Abati, one part you didn't say about that story, about Alvan Ikoku's son, is that after the son beats the father, Alvan's the son's re-election was now sponsored by his father. So he didn't even stop him from, because of the fact that they have political difference. After the son beat the father, and Alvan didn't get it, and his son got it. When his son was about to go for re-election, the father now supported fully his son. So you see, I know they will make political capital out of it because that's what they look for. When you talk about the fact that there's unemployment, there's high cost of living, people are suffering, inflation is killing people now, they will act like a earthworm that they pour salt on. They don't want to hear that one. When you talk about the killing and insecurity, they don't want to discuss that one. It's conversations about, oh, the son they come to us and then you use to push propaganda. That is what is affecting. And that's why I believe in Fisayo's tweets when he said, somebody that is suffering from the destruction and the pain caused by decisions made in this country will be the one to be carrying the placard and be shouting to the earth and come back. People have a right of different political will.
And as we talk...
And let me remind them, ASCE has only one votes.
And,
he has supporters. And he has a political organization, which is now asking Bola Tinubu organization. And he has directed that all his supporters should move to that ASKE Bola Tinubu organization. I think it adds color and meaning to the right to choose.
Certainly.
In a democracy.
Vote twice. It's only once he will vote.
He can mobilize people.
And we mobilize. Other people to mobilize. Well, it's only once he will put a thumbprint on the ballot.
Yes, and as we...
Abinobiso, c'est fini là-bas.
And as we talk about politics, let's stay on this for one more story where new comments from the former vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Dati Baba Ahmed, have sparked controversy on social media after he said that anyone who wants a shot at beating President Tinubu in 2027 will have to have a red eye to do so. Now, Baba Ahmed made these comments during an interview released on Thursday on the show Nigeria Right Now. And in this interview, he emphasized that a hands-on, more ferocious approach to the opposition is the opposition's only chance. Let's watch.
Must be ready to, I'll use the word red eye. You must show your red eyes if you're going to defeat Tinubu. Because on that day that they're declaring the result, the people declaring a fake result are criminals. And those who are stopping the declaration of fake results are good citizens. So what they normally do is to tell the law enforcement, hey, look, these people are stopping me from declaring the wrong results. They are criminals, they are breaking your law. So,
and they are the ones breaking the law.
The ones breaking the law. Can you see, they are stopping me from committing a crime.
Yeah.
They are stopping me from, catch them, they are stopping me from rigging this election. Whoever is going to defeat Tinubu must do red eye, show red eye.
Now, with these comments, we're clearly seeing the former vice presidential candidate make it clear that there's a certain level of ruggedness, brutality even necessary for 2027. And while people may know this already, it's something else to say it out loud. Vimbai?
Well, I think that it's important that Baba Ahmed and commentators and all those engaged in the process remember and be reminded that what we seek for is a constitutional order. We don't seek for anarchy. We don't seek for a situation where red eye. No. I think that his advocacy is misdirected. He has highlighted realities that a lot of people can relate to. But we are still in a process of trying to lobby and push and encourage the National Assembly to push through the electoral reforms. And that's where I would have expected him to direct his energy towards, because anarchy at the end of the day doesn't benefit anybody. Earlier this morning when we started the show, we were talking about the gun hegemony. And in essence, Baba Ahmed is saying that, the gun hegemony should be transferred from one place to the next place. And in the morning, we did a comparative analysis. We said, let's look at the colonial era. There are scholars, I referred to J.F. Ade Ajayi of the Ibadan School of History, who says that, colonialism wasn't the root of gun hegemony. When we talk gun hegemony, we talk about the politics of power, harsh politics, raw politics, Machiavellian politics. And there are examples that were given that, when the British write their own account, they say that, we encouraged them and we created the scenario. Now there's another group that are coming and saying that, in fact, it was the military rule that pushed us into this type of politics that we have today, and that created a constitution that doesn't allow for true federalism to be, and for true representation, and for each region to be able to realize its maximum potential, if I may say that. So I think a conversation we should be having is how not to move from one gun hegemony of colonialism to the next gun hegemony of military rule, into yet another gun hegemony where we are now saying we're doing election with red eye, grab it. You do it. No. That's insightful. And it's wrong. What we want to do is we want to sit down and say, how can we get this thing right in a civilized way, in an orderly way, and in a sustainable way that ensures that citizens' voices are heard and that political class and elite class are not continuously oppressing the masses and having their way when the majority should be having their way at elections.
I want to question the metaphor. when Dr. Baba Ahmed says red eye. Having a red eye is an allergy. You have glaucoma, you have conjunctivitis, you have Apollo, if you want to use that expression. You can't see clearly. So that metaphor is questionable. But I get his point about the fact that people must fight for their rights. The way Mr. Peter Obi says, rigging is that rigging will be resisted. The other major point that he made is that there is no going to court, which is an expression of the fact that he personally has lost faith in the courts of the land. And he thinks that, even the courts breach the Constitution. Those are the key points.
Yes.
The red eye doesn't look to me like the right kind of poverty. Because if you want to stop rigging, you must see clearly. If you have glaucoma, what are you going to stop?
With due respect, let me now reinterpret his red eye something.
Well, it's a clear metaphor. Red eye.
Let me reinterpret it. See, Dr. Abati, yes, we don't want elections where people peddle all sorts and manipulate. But were we not here when Jennifer got a red eye because Talk stabbed her because she wanted to vote in Lagos? Were we not here? Presidential election, they didn't carry Oro. Remember, no Oro. As they lost Lagos in presidential election, governorship election, some days Uru came out. We saw Uru. All of us saw the Uru everywhere to cleanse the land. So, you see, Nigeria election, you don't even need to have a red eye, Dr. Abati. The election will always give you red eye on its own. Because either beaten by political what are we saying, Dr. Abati? Let's go there. Okpe here. Didn't Okpe get a red eye for going to cover election and he was beaten by some people? Don't we know those people that beat Okpe? Our cameraman here. So what we are just begging is that let us stop red eye in election. Let the people will be done. But in terms of red eye, yakpa yaski, yakpa gan.
To that point, let's switch gears and head over to Kogi State, where the state governor, Ahmed Usman Ododo, on Thursday orchestrated the destruction of a major notorious structure called Sambel Joint. This is a place believed to have been linked to criminal activity. Now, earlier in the day, the state government did warn that this might happen, putting out a statement saying that any property found to have been illegally acquired or used for criminal activity would be reclaimed by the government. Now, the state governor, also speaking himself, said his administration has a zero tolerance policy for criminal activity. Let's watch.
Work to secure my people. This revolution you are seeing here today is to give our people the needed security they deserve. We have discovered that criminals have taken over this property. This property is owned by government, but fraudulently, it was issued to an individual. And of course, when we discover that the activities going on here is giving our people unrest, so we have to take a bold decision to secure our people, because that is part of what I have signed to do. And as I've said, I will never negotiate with any.
Now, these kinds of demolitions also took place during the former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello's administration. We're seeing it happen again now. But Vimbai, I'll come to you on this. How much of a dent does this actually make when it comes to reducing terrorism threats? Don't they just move somewhere else? Or, how are you seeing this?
Well, we've seen this in Edo State as well, where the governor has decided that he wants to demolish these hideouts. So it's popular. It is a popular approach because, in essence, you're going to the headquarters of those establishments. Yes, the argument is that they'll relocate elsewhere, but at least you're dispersing them sort of from the central operations where they're able to run their war economy, if I may call it that. Because remember, what we're seeing now has evolved into an economy. We've had several analysts who've come to say that the communities are shielding some of these perpetrators because if you trade in, let's say if you trade in snacks, they're ready to pay a premium on whatever they need, whether it's fuel, all of their supplies. They're all purchased from within the community. The communities know them, but they fuel this economy that's profitable and that leads for communities to be ready to sort of collaborate with them and protect them. So if you're flushing them out of communities, I think it's a level of, if I may use the term non-kinetic, that that detaches them from that, shall I call it a human shield type of scenario, and takes them to a place where, okay, if it's airstrikes you're going to use, or if it's kinetic force you're going to use, at least they're in a secluded area. So from that strategic perspective, I think it does pay out. It does have a benefit, but we're not seeing it. So theoretically, it's supposed to be beneficial. But I think this has just become a trend that a lot of governors are embarking on as a mask for other activities that they want to pursue.
Interesting. And from Kogi State, let's now head to Lagos, where a new video is trending on social media as it shows the moment and the aftermath that a school collapses in the middle of a lecture at Odo Kekere Primary High School in Ikorodu on Thursday afternoon. As of now, we know that no student or teacher was injured or killed, thankfully, but this has brought to the surface conversations around student safety, infrastructure, and the fact that this could have had very serious consequences. Let's take a look.
In Odokekere community, a building collapsed in the primary school in the Odokekere community. As you are seeing in this video, the building first collapsed. After the building collapsed, the fence now collapsed.
This is Odokekere High School at Ikorodu. School collapsed now why they have receiving lecture in the class. But we thank God nothing happened. And the funniest part is that the school authorities, they are shouting for people not to video. And is this still not worth videoing?
Now, an official investigation would be needed to determine what caused this exactly from the state government as well as the school's administrators. But this is traumatizing for students, for teachers who were in that building, given that we know how deadly building collapses can be, Rufai.
It's a very sad one. At first, I think the Lagos state government, couple of things, ideas. Can we take an integrity test on the quality of most of the state schools we have all over Lagos? So we even know the state of play of the building. They will get away with this and a lot because we are not in a country where laws are affected. But you know, if we're in a country where laws are affected, do you know the class action lawsuit that will have gone on? If it was a country where you had laws, if this happened in a country where you had laws, by today, it's either the government will be looking for how it's going to pay back all the legal monies. So can we do a general audit? Secondly, can we also, please, put monitors in there to be able to check and assess the level of infrastructure or infrastructural decay among public institutions? Can we do those two things? At first, a general audit for all what we have. Then put people in place that are constantly checking infrastructure so that we don't have things like this.
So important. Students and teachers need to be safe. And from Lagos, let's now head to Anambra State briefly, where on Thursday, the state governor, Chukwuma Charles Soludo, sparked a lot of reactions on social media after he called out young people in the state for their low enlistment levels into the army and police force. Now, the governor made these comments during celebrations of the 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Day in Awka, where he said that young people should enlist ASAP to avoid future complaints of Igbo marginalization. Let's take a look.
The Civil War ended 56 years ago. Because still, our youths from the southeast, and particularly from Anambra, the last recruitment exercise into the army and even into the police force, the Anambra, I think, had the lowest expression of interest in the country. I want to use this opportunity to call on our youths to enlist in the armed forces of Nigeria. Nigeria belongs to all of us. We cannot participate in it by avoiding it.
Now, earlier this year, the Nigerian army did publicly express concern over the low number of applications from states in the southeast. But if young people aren't, joining the military, the big question is, what is the state and the military doing to make it more inciting that people can actually see it as a real career path? And let's briefly stay in Anambra to issue a correction on a story we took this week about the masquerade attack in Anambra State. Now, the event took place during the last Ofala festival for the late traditional ruler of Ubu and not His Royal Highness Igwe Michael Okeke Uche. Now, under milestones, where today we are celebrating the 67th birthday of Helen Folashade Adu, also known as Sade, the multiple Grammy Award-winning British Nigerian artist who captivated generations of music enthusiasts with her smooth, soulful, and unique sound. Now, Sade was born in Ibadan on the 16th of January to a Nigerian father and a British mother. She grew up in England, initially studying fashion at Central St. Martin's University in London, but it was her foray into music that would ultimately bring her global acclaim. Now, she rose to prominence in the mid-'80s with her band's debut album titled Diamond Life, which featured classics like Smooth Operator and Your Love is King, and it was her unique voice and intentional production value that offered a more serene contrast to that era's flashier, more upbeat pop sounds. By 1992, she released the album Love Deluxe, which featured the Grammy-winning hit, No Ordinary Love. She was appointed as a commander of the Order of the British Empire in 2018, and she generally keeps a very low profile away from the limelight, but she has a global legion of fans, and it's a fan base that has transcended nations, it's transcended generations, from Ibadan to the world. Happy birthday to Sade. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all for your great analysis. Happy Friday.
Thank you very much. And have great fun in Davos.
Thank you.
Take a lot of warm clothing.
Yes.
And that's all on today's edition of The Morning Show. Rochus Udiri is up next with Global Business